Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katrie. I'm here with my lovely husband today.
Hello.
And we're gonna have a little book talk about a new manga that we are reading. Alright, so today we're going to be discussing Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. This is a manga. We read the first 7 chapters, which is volume 1 in this. And this is about an elf mage who basically ends her adventure with her, he does D&D, so he knows a little bit more of that, but she ends her adventure, and then basically, because time is different for elves, and they don't grow old like humans and other, what's the word? Races do, in the fantasy world. So she comes back for a funeral, and she starts to like wonder about stuff, and yeah, because of
starts having an existential
crisis. Yes, that's the word. Existential crisis. So what was your rating for this first volume?
I gave this about like 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did 3.5 stars too, so
yeah, so I think
we're about pretty on the same
might be for slightly different
here.
reasons, but
okay.
we can talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna ask you one thing. Let us know one thing you really liked about this manga, and then one thing you didn't love as much, without giving any spoilers. Not a lot of spoilers in this. I feel like there's nothing like crazy big that happens here. It's a very slice of life type of manga. So
I think that's definitely like its first like pro kind of, to like put it in your terms of it. It's a unique fantasy that if you don't usually like fantasy, you might enjoy.
Because it's got the slice of life element.
Yeah, it's got a slice of life. And you know, I don't want to like steal your thunder, but like that's kind of like mixed in with it, is that it's like, it's what happens after we save the world. Like, and it's definitely a fresher take on the whole fantasy concept.
Okay, and what was your con? What is something that you didn't prefer about this?
I think, see, for me personally, this might just be a volume 1 thing, but I really found it slow, which is kind of like, I just praised it for it being kind of slow, but then I'm also like, I like books and shows that kind of pick up quickly, and are just like, all right, let's hard charge forward. You know, I'm a busy man, I don't have a lot of time, like, let's hurry up and, you know, get to the action. And I don't think you really start seeing like a proper action confrontation till later, a good bit later.
Chapter 6.
Yeah,
or so,
which is towards the end of the first volume. So, you know, if you're not willing to wait for the slow burn, you might want to take your time with it, or maybe wait until you have more time.
Or if you're just like, you can't do anything that's not like action packed. Yeah. It might be too slow for you. Yeah. At least this first volume. So, I would say I agree with you a lot. But pro for me, I like the characters so far. I like the unique concept of the book, like you had talked about, like it's after the journey's end, and it's also taking from an elf, so time is a big thing in the book, and the like concept of time is completely different than how we consider it, because she'll just go by 50 years and it's like a week for her type of thing, and she doesn't, and then everybody around her is like aged and died, and she's like, and I really like that. Like, I haven't heard, you know, like, I haven't been able to see something through such an interesting, like, concept and, like, a different, like, so that's really interesting. I like that a lot. And the con for me, I mean, I agree, it is a little slow sometimes, but I don't like the priest very much in this.
Oh, the priest character.
Like, that's just, yeah, that's more of a personal con than, like, just a general. Although, I think this is a better one for, like, general. It's not all colored. Some of it is like, yeah, there's a few colored, but most of it is black and white. And I feel like This is probably why people like the anime, though, because I've seen little clips, is I feel like the coloring of it would bring to life so much with the manga.
I mean, it could also be the edition we read, though. I don't know if they have full
yeah, we were reading online, but, so I don't know, maybe it is colored if you get it in paperback. So, I don't know.
I feel like with the priest thing, though, they were, like, trying to subvert the character somehow. Like, you know, priests usually uptight and whatever, and they could have gone a better direction, I think, with it.
Yeah. Okay, but so those are our general thoughts. Yeah. And now I'm gonna put up a spoiler warning, and we're gonna just talk about a few. Not that there's a ton of spoilers in this, but if we have anything extra to say, that might be spoiler zone. We'll go ahead and say it here. So, do you have anything in specific?
I mean, okay, so I really like the exact kind of manga's really interesting and kind of cool. You know, kind of fits in with the graphic novel style of storytelling. You can fit pictures in, and so you know, I liked the subversion expectation of, you know, especially I think it was like chapter 1 where it's like it shows like a bunch of like little panels of her just traveling, you know, doing her thing, living her life as an adventurer or whatever, you know, and then you think, oh yeah, you know, like a year, maybe 2 has passed, and then suddenly as it like starts to focus in on a specific scene again, you know, the character's just like, oh, it's been 50 years. I should go give my friend a visit, and you're just like, what?
It's kind of trippy.
Yeah, well, and it helps put your kind of it helps you understand her mind too, and like her perspective.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I really didn't. I don't know. I thought it was weird, their concept of like heaven and the soul thing that they were doing, and the way the priest was. Like, he was like, didn't even particularly believe that whatever. I was like, in heaven, you know? He was just kind of like, it's just better if it does exist, but you know, like, I don't have, and I'm just like,
you're a whole entire priest. Like,
and he gets drunk all the time. I'm like, it's kind of a, what is it called? It's kind of like shameful to call him a priest in any sense of the way, because he's like very not a priest
the way he's portrayed.
In any sense of the way. Yeah, I mean, I did kind of like his little like finally like realizing there's more to it at the very end that they put in there, but I still. Well, and then getting the flashbacks from him and being like, oh my goodness.
Well, and another thing too is that like he's the only one that's like really presented with a real flaw. I mean, obviously you start to explore the elf's flaw, which is that she's kind of ditzy because her concept of time is weird, you know. But like,
she's also kind of like lazy. Like, she doesn't want to do a lot. Like, she could be going out and saving a bunch of people, but she just doesn't want to do a lot. One of the characters
talks about that. She's like, she could be doing so much.
I love her character design. Like, she was drawn like really. She's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, and I think it's worth also pointing out the art, beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, besides, like, you know, you don't always get colored panels, but like even if you do, like, you look at it and you're like, oh wow.
Yeah, there's some really, really cool details on it.
Yeah, for sure.
I really enjoyed it.
But
she's like, a little bit different than how most like elves that I've seen have been like drawn to, so I really like enjoy seeing a little bit of a different style to it.
And like to kind of come back about the whole like, you know, heaven thing, like the reason that they were talking about heaven is partially because it ends up coming up towards the end where there might be a way to talk about the Frieren's, you know, there might be a way to talk to Frieren's original, you know, first fellow adventurer in her party.
Yeah.
If she goes to heaven and it's like a physical
it's
place.
like a really weird. You were saying it was kind of like
so and it kind of actually to kind of draw it to a different sort of parallel. This is going to be a really weird jump. Bear with me here. Kind of reminds me of the Pilgrim's Progress, which I know
I haven't read this yet. So.
How weird that I connect a fantasy manga to a classic of theology, you know, of theological fiction. But in the Pilgrim's Progress, right, that is allegory through and through. You have to understand it as allegory, otherwise it doesn't make sense. But it's essentially a Christian's journey to heaven interpreted as a literal journey.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I almost wonder if that's the kind of direction that they might sort of lean more towards. I don't know. It's also fantasy, so heaven could, in this fantastical world, heaven could be a real place that, you know, every soul
just a very interesting, weird concept that, like, the starting of it and, like, going through this stuff, I would have never expected for them to, like, put that there and to, like, bring that up.
Yeah.
I just didn't really expect that at all, so.
But I will say, you know, with the first volume, you kind of get the feeling or the sensation of vagueness. Right? Like after she saves the world, her purpose becomes kind of vague. She's just wandering town to town, village to village.
It's true.
But by the end, there's a clear purpose set. You know, hey, I want to go see my friend again.
Yeah, I do like how it's kind of how it's given more to her character, because at the beginning it kind of like flushed it like, oh yeah, she didn't really know any of her companions, so that's kind of like part of her crisis. But it throughout the volume, it really does show that she did know things and her companions did know her and stuff, and it's really sweet in the little ways that, and the things that she remembers too, especially with how much more, like, I guess it's less time for her, but it's like still, it's just like interesting how well she remembers certain things, and like so that's interesting.
A lot of this first volume was definitely kind of like about her and like you know, her doing her thing and the interpersonal relationships.
Which, I mean, it's called Frieren, so
it's
about her.
It's about her beyond the journey's end.
Yeah.
You know, but I do like, and I find it cool because, you know, it's kind of a subversion expectation. You know, you don't think that the story could keep going after they save the world, but instead,
yeah, I think it's a really cool concept. So I'm hoping that it continues to be pretty cool.
I hope Volume 2 gets more interesting though, with the actual conflict and the fighting. We don't really have a clear antagonist, if you know what I mean. You know, we don't have anyone who's like put in her way.
There doesn't always have to be like an antagonist, but
sure.
Maybe she herself is her own antagonist.
Oh, like a man versus self kind of thing.
I mean, she's kind of, you know, with her being kind of sloppish and
class.
and with her mentor at the very end being kind of whatever.
Well, you could also consider this like a man versus journey thing, kind of like how the Odyssey
I don't know.
is.
I'm interested to see where it goes, though.
For sure. I will say that there's an unexpected kind of depth to like kind of the internal rules of the fantasy.
Yeah.
So like, for example, in one of the chapters that I mentioned, there is a fight, you know, and it's like
there's like a magic.
There's like some magic guy that's been sealed away
in very much death yet.
Right, but it kind of, you get a little peek into it.
Yeah.
You know, with like the sorcerer has been locked away for like 80 years. He comes out swinging with his best magic he's got, and they're just like, has spent 8 years studying your stuff. You're obsolete now, guy. And he's just like, ooh, and then he gets deleted. So it's like, it's kind of cool, like, to see that unexpected depth, especially in like a slice of life. You would expect it to focus a lot more.
Yeah, I did really enjoy how Frieren did talk about like 80 years is quite a long time for humans. Like, they had a lot of time to, she like acknowledged and like she learned, and she kind of like made this snide remark back to him to kind of like, you know, show she wasn't like, not that she ever has shown like egotistic tendencies, but she was just like, I felt like very humble and like, would I bring that on, you know, a whole other race for that and stuff. So I thought that was like a good, like, small little growth development. So, all right. I think those are our thoughts for Volume 1. So, yeah, just a little chit chat. If you've read this, or even, I guess, we haven't seen the anime, but if you've seen the anime on these chapters or whatnot, you know, you can comment down below. Let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts on this. Do you like this? Is this something that you want to check out? Let us know in the comments down below, and we will see you next time. Hopefully, maybe we'll bring Joshua here back to chit chat about more manga.
Hopefully, more manga.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.